guys, my name is Tao, and I wanted to take this opportunity to explain a little bit about how our culling setup works in Lake of Kalandra PoE 3.19. So, brief backstory. I've been playing in a group with two of my other friends, and we haven't had a particularly great experience this league. I don't think any of us really like the state of the game right now, including the loot goblin meta and just a lot of stuff in the game right now. It just doesn't feel very good to us, the way we play. So, without getting into all that, we, a couple weeks ago, decided to try culling for our friends in our group. We caved a little bit and just said, well, if skipping these Solaris and whatever touch monsters is going to feel bad, maybe we try and cull it. So, we committed a bit of effort to working on our color, and running as a 3-man, we found that we could run a bit more of an aggressive culling setup than you would typically run as an MF carry. So this is an explanation of how our setup works. We began basically offering our service on TFT as well in our downtime, and we do run our own content. You know, it's still extremely RNG, but we figured, hey, we got this color, we can help people out, get some crazy, drops maybe, and so that's what started us on this path. Again, we're not particularly fond of the setup or the meta. We just figured, hey, this is something to try to work on. We put our collective efforts towards this to salvage a bit of fun from the league that we were pretty universally disappointed with. So here's an overview. This is not a build guide. This is an overview of our setup. Colors are not particularly complicated. Lots of 6-mans have run them this way for a long time. MF builds that are solo MFers are not the same as colors typically. An MF build will usually be a lot more survivable and can actually scale with some Orobot juice to actually do their own maps. This is not the case. Our color here is a dedicated color, meaning it does basically no fucking damage, and it will fall over at the slightest breeze. So its defenses are almost entirely carried by our Orobot. And we have a Spark Inquisitor that DPSs with Southbounds, and an Interrogation Jewel to ensure that all the monsters are 1 HP, and our color can just one-tap them. Now, we're scaling rarity the same way every color scales rarity, and this should be knows to basically no one that's familiar with group play. It is a Pathfinder that is using Divination Distillate and a gold flask with a ton of flask effect, including Spike Concoction to get Alchemist Genius. It's not the only way to get Alchemist Genius, but it's how we're doing it. So this is, again, not an ideal setup. This is not a guide, just an explanation of the concept. Between all the flask effect stuff, we're fitting in as many jewels as we can. All of our jewels are synthesized rare base jewels that have 4% rarity on the implicit and 6% on the explicit. We got a whole bunch of those, some shitty voices, and this elegant hubris. Ours is 36940, and in the duelist slot, this gives us 4 40% rarity nodes. We take this for 37 chaos. It's 1 point, figure why not. This isn't the only jewel that has 160 rarity. There are quite a few. There is exactly one jewel that I'm aware of that has 200% rarity, and it's here. We played around with it, but it's very point intensive to get into this spot, so we just kind of dropped it. Now, this brings us to the gear for our setup. Again, it's very cookie cutter. There are not a lot of ways to squeeze in extra rarity. We're using Agreeds or Seize Wonder Trap. Everybody pretty much uses these. These are low life conditional, so you have to reserve some life. Most people will run an Ascetic, a blue helmet, and a white wand. The wand is a dead slot, so this is, you could have anything here. The blue helmet, you lose about, 24 rarity from the yellow. The only reason we were able to upgrade off of an Ascetic and Varius is because of the Lake of Kalandra mirrored jewelry. So if you get double rarity on all these and then you double them with the Lake of Kalandra, you can have rings with like 120 to 135 rarity or something. And an amulet could have like 140-ish, which is a bit more than an Ascetic. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, but you know, every little bit adds up, I guess. So between all of these minor upgrades and our group combined rarity with our party, we get 141 quant, 141 quant, 1735 rarity. And again, this is with our group. We only ever go as at least a 3-man, so this includes that in the calculation. Now, if you've calculated to this point, we really should only have about 1,400 and maybe like 100-ish quantity. So 1,400 rarity, 100-ish quantity is what you can typically get. You get 30% rarity from a Kingmaker AG. Our Orobot already had that, so where's the other rarity and quant coming from, you ask? Well, this is really the only, you know, the closest thing to secret sauce that there can be here, and it's not particularly secret. If you put an AG on the Culler himself, the AG could also wear rarity gear, and with Gravebinds, the kill is credited to the AG. The way minions work, from my understanding, the up-to-date wiki, if it is, and every source of information I can find on the topic, GGG combines the rarity of the player that summoned the minion and the minion itself. Now, that's typically because minions don't have base rarity or quant, and it would be basically an inherent nerf to all summoner builds if their rarity and quant got ignored because the kill was credited to their minion instead of them. So, in their infinite wisdom, they said all minions get their kills that kills are credited to have the rarity and quantity of theirs plus the player that summoned them. That works with the AG. We put Gravebinds on him to ensure that all kills are credited to the AG. So all of our Culler's kills are credited to his AG, who is also wearing Greed's Embrace, a crazy rare helmet with like 100 rarity on it, gold worms, and some whatever weapon. I think it's irrelevant because it's essentially a dead slot. You can technically use Chimera's Avarice, but that rarity is only applied on the condition that the minion or the monster that you kill is frozen, and that's almost entirely not the case because the DPS is running southbound, so you can't really run those two things together, so we can't calculate that, even though theoretically we could get an extra 40 if the monster was frozen. Now, the Culler himself running an AG is a precarious affair because it's very difficult to make them survive. We basically can only do this because we're dedicating a 6 link to the AG, and our Orobot is also pretty defensively biased. So that's basically it. If you're looking for the extra margin over the people who are able to hit 13, 14, even 1,500, the real difference is in the AG. This is something you would never run in a solo setup because it's hard enough to get a Culler to survive with this level of specificity in the gear, let alone the Culler's AG, because if you've noticed, nothing on the tree is in favor of minion survivability, which is already a pretty delicate affair in 3.19. So I hope this is helpful for you guys to explain kind of the concepts, again, how this works in an overview sense. I hope this will also help, you know, explain to people that it's not really that outrageous of a number if you really commit absolutely everything to rarity. You can get wild numbers that seem unrealistic, and for the most part they are for solo players or even duo players. But when the Culler is being babysat by crazy DPS and crazy defensive Orobots, you know, you can kind of lean into the rarity a bit. So I hope that helped. Anyway, good luck out there, guys. And if you have any questions, post them in the comments, and I'll try and answer if I can. Take care.